Today, I'm going to take you through exactly how to launch TikTok ads spending as little as $20 per day and actually get results. I'm going to leave you a couple of resources in the description. Number one is a video I made for free giving you 50 plus winning products and showing you all the research. So if you don't yet have a winning product, you're going to want to watch that video after this one. I also showed you a TikTok organic strategy that cost $0. So if your budget is very limited, do what I'm going to show you in this video and do the TikTok organic. Other than that, we are officially doing our Q4 Halloween discount on our e-commerce program. We never do sales, haven't done one in 9 months, but you're gonna be able to save a few $100s off of our TikTok ad blueprint in the link down below. Check that out. The TikTok ad blueprint is one of the most successful training programs on TikTok because it's crazy up to date. We're always adding stuff, and you're gonna get free access into our private mastermind group where we do group coaching. Enough said, leave a like down below and let's get you started with a low budget. Keep in mind, if you start with a low budget, you are not gonna stay here for long, not at all. The goal is not to stay there. The goal is just to use it as a stepping stool, okay? Most people's obstacle is the product. Again, I'll leave that link below for the 50 plus winning products. Now, if you're struggling with results, if you're already starting to run ads, it's very much so likely because your video or videos are bad. The videos that you're running as ads, remember, we like to run Spark ads, which means you post the video on your TikTok page and you run the post to that ID. That's where you're running the ads to, instead of uploading them every single time into the ads where you don't get to stack your engagement, okay? Now, 3 things to focus on before I jump into the exact budget strategy is number 1, your audience sizing. I'm gonna show you how to do this as we launch a TikTok ad together in a moment. Also, killing based on the right metrics. I see a lot of people these days that send me messages in our free Discord, which is also another free resource you can find linked below, saying, hey, well, my CTR is this, or I only have so many link clicks. I spent $40. I'm like, why are you focusing on those? Like, who taught you this? People just don't know what metrics to focus on. I really don't know who's feeding them this information. The only 2 numbers that matter when you're starting is your total spend. How much have you spent? And what are your conversions? That's it, because CPMs, I'm going to show you how those are very incorrect here in a moment. Any of these numbers, CTRs and link clicks, while it's great to potentially look at an average, you don't have enough sales data on your pixel or on your ad account to give you an average. So the only thing you can do is maybe compare it against each other and look for an outlier. It's not the best metric. So the only thing we're following with these rules is how much have you spent and what are your purchases. So I'll walk you through when to kill your ads in a moment. And the third one here is no emotions. Your first product is likely not going to be the winner. It's possible, but it's rare. Like this coaching student who did $2 million selling these LED light bars last month. Incredible, but that was not his first product. It was probably his 5th or 6th, right? It takes a lot of different products, right? It just takes time. Keep those things in mind. Now let's jump into the exact budget. So for starters, $20 a day is the minimum budget that you can run on TikTok. So if we jump over here into an ad account and we go to create a campaign, the minimum we're going to be able to do is a $20 per day budget. If you want to run a CBO, a campaign budget optimization, where your budget is at the campaign level, which I don't really recommend, especially with a low budget, that's going to be a $50 budget. So you're going to want to choose custom mode when you're setting up your ads here. If you're running an e-commerce site, you're going to want website conversions. That means you're going directly for a conversions, not for leads, not for whatever. This is just a random test. Again, down here is where you would choose the campaign budget optimization. We're going to leave that alone very much so for right now. And if you scroll all the way down, we'll set up all this other stuff here in a second, but your budget, see right there in the background, at least 20. That is the minimum. Absolute minimum that you can run on TikTok. Now, I would recommend multiple. Launch a 20, launch a 30, and launch a 50. I never like to launch just one ad group. It doesn't really paint a clear picture. You want to try some slightly different audiences. And I'm going to let each of these low budget ads run for 3 days. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If you go through our TikTok ad blueprint, you are going to see me vehemently and aggressively test against this. I'm going to tell you, do not run $20 a day ads. The reason for that is it's not going to get you consistent sales, but it can work right in the beginning just to prove the concept, just to give you some faith and see like, look, clearly it's working. I'm getting some sales. I need to start spending some more money. So it can work. It adds another step. It's kind of a waste of time. So unless you really don't have the money, then it's probably not worth doing. But I'm going to run multiple different ads here and let these run for 3 days. In our blueprint, what I show you is when you're running $100 or more in terms of your budget, you're going to want to let those run for like a day and a half. You don't need to wait 3 days. So it's faster. Now, like we talked about with killing ads and what metrics to look at, I'm going to kill any that have no sales, and I'm going to leave any with 1 sale for another 24 hours. So if I'm at the end of 3 days, these ads have spent $60. Any with 0 sales are immediately getting turned off, non-negotiable. I don't care what other metrics are. If anything has 1 sale, I'm going to give another 24 hours to see if it gets a second sale. And anything that gets a second sale, including the one I could have potentially just left on for another 24 hours, I'm going to duplicate and try to raise the budget much higher and maybe change 1 or 2 variables on the ads. And I'm also going to directly raise the budget on that specific ad group that's already running a lot. I want to get it up, okay? So anything with 2+ sales, I'm going to start modifying. I'm going to work off of it because one sale, okay, could be a little random. We want to see if it actually starts to optimize. With multiple sales, it tells you something's working. It doesn't really mean the audience. TikTok is kind of hit or miss on your audience. Half the time, my audience is just targeting nobody, right? I'll just go to US and Canada, 2 great audiences to target. I'll select 18+. And the reason, by the way, when you're going through and selecting these, I don't target 13 to 17. It spends about 8 to 10% of my budget, and I wasn't tracking any results there. Now it's because of the privacy policy laws. You can't see what minors are, in terms of conversions, you can't really track that. But I noticed when I removed it, it didn't drop conversions at all. So I just keep it off, keep gender as both. And then down here is where you'd select all your interests. So if we're selling like a, portable projector, we're going to go ahead and type in projector right here. Okay, we'll let it load up here. It'll always take a second. Mini projector. There you go. Look at the size. 24 to 30 million. Now that's big enough to not have to expand the interest. It's possible it gives us a warning, okay? But it's really right on the edge. Anything like 15 to 20 million or bigger, I'm fine with not expanding this interest. But here's what happens when you're setting up your targeting. If I go and expand the interest, watch this jump up to like 130. There you go. So it immediately opens the audience back up to everybody in the US and Canada. And you might say, well, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of putting this in? Sort of, but it more so gives TikTok a framework to work off of. Now, in terms of your budget, this is why we are here. Let's launch a 50, okay? Very simple. I do want to touch on how there's multiple types of budgets that you can run. So you'll see this little drop down arrow. A lot of people ignore it. Lifetime budget is a very, very powerful tool on Facebook. I'm not a huge fan of it on TikTok. I've probably only spent maybe 60,000 or so, maybe 100 at most on lifetime budget. And people are like, oh, that's a lot. We've spent millions on TikTok, so that's nothing. But I just haven't seen great results from it. Now, when I do run a lifetime budget, I want it to be a big budget. Okay, let's call it 2,000 or whatever. And I want to run it for at least like a 30-day window. That's kind of what I want, because if it starts working, I want to give it time to work. So the other one's to the 17th. This one will be running to the 17th. That is 30 full days. On average, it would spend $70, $80 a day, whatever that number is, which again is still too low for me in terms of like what I want to do long term. And usually I'm only going to launch a lifetime if I have a much higher budget. So I'd rather have it be like kind of a $6,000 minimum for a month. Okay. And the reason for that is because I would want it to be able to spend a few $100s. Okay. Now, in terms of your conversion, when you're setting that stuff up, totally up to you. There's a lot of strategies, different things. We teach what we teach in our TikTok blueprint. You can follow that if you want. But let me continue talking to you about the budget, okay? The only ads that will see long-term consistency, like, hey, this has been running for 3 weeks and it's working, are the multi-$100 a day. You're not going to do it with $20 a day. And some people say, oh, I hate to burst your bubble. I don't. Like I'm sitting here just being honest with you. If you run low budget ads, they might work for 3, 4, 5, 6 days. They always die off. Every single time. I don't care what you do. Every single time, eventually those ads will die off. They will never compare against higher budget ads. Ever, okay? And that's just the learning phase on TikTok. It is what it is. So my first goal is to get all the ad groups individually, each to like $200 to $300 a day. That's like a minimum. And the reason for that, if we jump over here into the help center on TikTok, they're going to tell you that when you're running a conversion campaign, which is what we selected for e-commerce, and you select conversion as the optimizing goal, again, which is when we go up here, under here, you're going to want to select, back down here, conversions are optimizing goal. And then in here, you're going to select complete payment. That's what we're optimizing for under the pixel. They're going to tell you, even if you have lowest cost or whatever, your initial budget should be 20 times your targeted cost per purchase, basically is what that means. Or no less than $100. So 100 is a minimum. And if your targeted cost per purchase times 20 is higher than that, again, you're probably going to have to run a budget that's higher than $100 a day. So that's why I use 100 as my bare minimum. And as soon as I get a couple sales, it starts to work. The problem is if you're getting a $20 cost per purchase, that ad that spends $20 a day might get you some sales. But eventually there's going to be a day where it gets no sales. And it's going to cause a problem. And it's going to unoptimize. You need an ad that can get you 5 to 10 sales a day on an individual ad group. It's the only way to get any consistency. So you can go learn all this stuff on TikTok. There's plenty of random articles on people's stupid advice, and half of it's accurate, half of it's not. So, test as you will, but I really recommend just sticking with one thing and focusing. So if you want to run these ads, start them at $20. Again, as we start to raise these budgets and get them to $200, $300, $400, then I'll start introducing new ad creatives and all of that stuff as well. So, there's also, like we mentioned, different types of budgets. And then if you want to scale, be very careful. I just want to put this in there for anybody who's making a lot of money. I know I have people who come to me all the time doing like $300,000 a month or whatever, and they're struggling to scale. It's because you're clogging up your ad account. You want minimal duplicates with not a lot of clone copies. Change it up slightly. So I want less ad groups each with an individual higher budget. It gets a little bit weird and wonky to try to manage that and manage the results, but with a lot of new videos cycling in, you can keep those costs down, okay? And then again, if you're looking to scale, that's through budgets and ad creatives, exactly what I just said. So that's all I got for you in this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, again, you can check out those resources linked below. The Halloween discount is going to be ending here soon for the TikTok blueprint in less than a week. So check that out. You get a ton of cool bonuses and save some money. We've got the free Discord down below and 2 other YouTube videos I will leave linked just so you can get some extra resources on winning products, and then TikTok organic where you're not even running ads. But if you want to start your ads with a lower budget, I hope this was the video for you and hope it gave you some value. See you in the next one.